G'day and welcome to another episode of Sidekick TV. Today I'm joined by Richard from Loaded, and today we're going to be covering off the topic that's really close to our hearts, which is about great information, getting good information to business owners, and in this particular case we're talking hospitality. So Richard, it's great to be joined by you, so thank you.
Great to be here, Rick. Looking forward to having a chat.
Yeah, excellent. And so we what we wanted to talk about today was around hospitality, and why is it more important now than ever for hospitality owners to be able to control the things in their business that they can control. So Richard, I'd love it, talk us through it. So the Loaded system platform, why was it you created this?
So we had a hospitality group, Cook Brothers Bars, which started it with one big pub in Dunedin, and myself and my business partner, I was always kind of operational front of house. He was always really systems and process focused, and we really struggled to get kind of meaningful reporting that made sense to the average hospitality manager user that was actually having to look at it and understand it and make decisions from it. So initially we started just centralized some reports and made them a bit prettier, pulled out all the stuff that wasn't important and really focused in on some of the revenue stuff that we thought was important. And then over time we realized, look, there's just no connected way to run your revenue, your labor and your cost of goods all in one system. So over time we built that out into Loaded. So it went from being basically our internal management platform to Loaded, which other operators began to use. And so really the concept is that I should be able to monitor my revenue, labor and cost of goods from one place, and then I should have the tools to actually do something about it when things aren't going as well as they should be. And as we grew that out into a multi-site group, that the consistency of managing the sites in the same way became really important, and fixing problems in the same way. So you actually felt like you could get some control of your business and can control the performance.
Yeah, right. Because that's it. When we deal with businesses like this all the time, so often they've got countless systems, one for rostering, one for ingredients, another one for recipes. It's a really complex beast.
Yeah, that's right. You end up with a whole lot of disparate systems, and often like there's a really something within each one that you quite like and that is good to use, or that someone in your business at some point in time liked or has used previously, and so they know it. But the problem is, once you end up with kind of 5 or 6, really the only way to tie those all in together properly is via spreadsheets. And our experience was, like, between admin, the operations team and the site, there's so much back and forth, so much data that was incorrect. By the time you have it all fixed up, the week's gone, and you're talking about things that have happened a week, 10 days ago. It's irrelevant in hospitality, like, you need the data today so that everyone's fresh and understands exactly what happened, so that you can make your plan and how to resolve it.
And the other thing that you've got there is a real mix of skill sets as well, I'm imagining. The people I know that are the best with spreadsheets, I probably wouldn't want them as my bartender.
Yeah, that's right. Like, the thing we all love about a great hospitality outlet is the creativity. Like, we don't love as a customer going there because they're good at their spreadsheets, So really what we're doing with Loaded is trying to make it a whole lot simpler to run your business, a whole lot more engaging to get into the pieces that actually make you profitable. But ultimately we're just trying to free you up so the creative hospitality owner and operator and manager can do more of the stuff they're great at, whether that's being with customers, designing better food, cocktails, outlets, environments. That's where the kind of magic happens in hospitality, right?
Yeah.
So we'd like to be the kind of piece that sits out the back and makes everything hum so that they can get on with that.
Yeah, great. Yeah. And that's, and coming back, I suppose, to the purpose of this catch up in this video, it's about time and control, and how can you have that real grip on your business, which you can't do if you just constantly chasing spreadsheets.
Yeah.
So, because now more than ever, what challenges are you thinking that hospitality businesses are going to be facing?
I mean, there's some real macro challenges, obviously. I mean, right now, as we talk, obviously COVID is kind of starting to hit its peak in New Zealand, and that's having an effect on actually outlets being able to open and get their staff in. But you kind of get through that and out the other side of it, and we hope that sooner rather than later. Look, we've been driven towards having to find ways of creating efficiencies, right? And in hospitality, if your revenue's not where it used to be, then you've got to become more efficient with your labour. And that really is the number of hours that are worked in your business to produce a certain amount of revenue, to pour in the certain number of beers and to make a certain number of meals. And the first point in that, which we find where the biggest savings comes from, is actually just understanding what I'm expecting my costs to be and what they actually are at the end of each day and week. And then your cost of goods. So everything you buy that you then put your love and creativity in to deliver to a customer, what is the cost of that and how do you manage that? And that's the piece where the biggest opportunity is for hospitality businesses to increase their profitability, but it's also the hardest piece for them to get their hands around and get a workflow that kind of goes right through the business, so that each person in the business is doing their piece that adds up to a whole lot more efficient management of that cost of goods area.
Because there are some real challenges happening now, aren't there, where we're seeing the price of food, groceries, fresh produce is becoming astronomical. I mean, I thought we were still pretty much in lettuce season, but I saw a lettuce for $7.49 yesterday at the supermarket, right?
Yeah, it's brutal, right?
Yeah, and then we've got team issues where, hey, if one of them has been working a shift with someone else or the rest of your team and they've just got a positive test, what do we do?
We're certainly no experts on how to manage a team that's got COVID ravaging it, but I can help with the monitoring of the price of lettuce. I mean, it's quite it's obviously really topical with our customers at the moment. And I was just dealing with a customer yesterday. They sell a huge amount of cauliflower. It's gone from $5.50 a cauliflower half to $9 overnight. And like, the important thing is that firstly and you understand cauliflower is in all these things that we make, and now our margin has gone from this to this. So either we've got to sell it for this now, or we've got to change our recipe or the meals that we're delivering. And so, the first point is knowing, right?
So a restaurateur that can change the menu overnight, swap stuff out, is going to be better.
And at least know overnight the effect it's having, and then everyone's bloody busy in hospitality at the moment, so the plans might take a little longer to flow through than that. But you want to be making your decisions off real-time information, right? And actually what's happening in your business is I was paying $5.50 for cauliflower yesterday now I'm paying $9. That's having an effect on my profitability. Do I know what that is, and do I know how to react to it? So that's kind of the starting point.
Great. And so being able to map out what you typically sell of that, what now the margin impact is going to be.
Correct. And being able to make those adjustments to either recipes or pricing becomes really important.
And this is the same for any business. I mean, I came across nearly the same thing with a business the other day that buys ingredients, let's say, puts them together. It was phenomenal, the price increases that they were talking about. Some of these things that were they were 26 cents, now they're 50. So that's pretty much doubled, and it was one of the main staples of what they do. There was one thing that they bought that was usually $1.85, now it's $5.85.
Yeah.
And this has happened in the last few months. So how does a business like that adjust and adapt?
Well, I think the important piece to note, right, is that's happening to every business. So you can either be a business that's going to not be on top of that and then not make the change that's needed. So, and that's going to really affect, your future success or failure, as it may be. Whereas if you are the business that's on top of that and making changes, and you're going to have to get creative, like there's no two ways about it. If your cauliflower's now at, if that goes to $15 next week, you need to have plans in place for what your menu changes that you're going to make are going to flow out, and you're going to have to be creative. The customers are going to see price rises across the board, right? But if your price rises are not just a straight increase of X percent doing exactly the same thing, but you're making changes, thinking creatively about ingredients that you can now get that haven't changed in price, whether you're changing the portion sizes or the kind of structure of your menu to allow smaller and bigger meals, then you're going to be giving customers a choice and some flexibility. But if it's just a straight price increase, I think my suspicion is that you're gonna struggle, and that other people are going to start to take customers away from you post-COVID. And probably if you're watching this, mid-March, you're saying, what customers? What's he talking about? I'm really talking about out the tail end of the peak of COVID. Yeah.
When habits have changed and your customers have found somewhere else.
Yeah, someone else that's been more creative than you or more on top of what these price changes are, or is looking ahead to see what they might be able to do and understanding the supply chain there.
And making those smart changes. So what would be, the 2 or 3 key things that you'd be telling hospitality operators to be doing right now to weather the storm as best they can?
So on the labour side, you've really got to, as you build up a roster for the week, you've got to understand the number of hours you're rostering and the total cost of that. So that is your planning of labour. And then as the week actually happens, you need to see what we actually spent on labour versus what we expected to. And that tells you how well your managers are managing to your roster. And then on the cost of goods side, you really need to understand the margins you're expecting to hit. So that is, what am I buying things for, and how much am I planning on using? And that's basically setting up a recipe. And if you understand that, then you've got a chance of saying, well, I want to exclude this, and this, because we're just never going to be able to make that work. Whereas if you're going out and selling things to customers at a really low margin and they're getting all the benefit of that, yes, you might have some happy customers, but you're going to have an unhappy bank balance.
And that's just not sustainable for any kind of long period, is it?
That's right.
And one thing we're seeing is that if the cash is running out, credits become really difficult to get hold of. Certain industries aren't that appealing to banks at the minute as well. So if you're not on top of these numbers, you're actually out of there aren't going to be many kind of rescue opportunities for that.
And there's one probably other thing I would add is that there's going to be like a number of ingredients in the supply chain that fluctuate in pricing and probably fluctuate actually in an upwards trend, right? But there's still a huge amount of items in the supply chain that aren't going to fluctuate. And what you really want to focus on is buying those really, really well. So your staples, if you know you're going to be buying X amount of ribeye over the next 12 months, go to your supplier and say, I'm prepared to commit to you and only you for this ribeye for the next 12 months. What's the best pricing you can give to me?
Right.
And really you'll have, look at your 20 most ordered items. That's where 80% of your profitability, your chance for profitability will be. And if you can analyze those and work out which ones you can guarantee to get from a supplier over a 12-month period, then that's actually great for the supplier because then they can kind of book in that revenue for the next 12 months, and in return you should be able to actually look at better pricing on those items.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that, Richard. Hopefully, there were definitely some great nuggets in there of information that will help, not just hospitality owners, but anyone running a business. Like, you've got to be on top of the labour and the direct costs in your business in this environment. So thank you so much for sharing those insights.
No worries. Great to chat, Rick.
Yeah, cool. Thank you. Cheers. Thanks.